Assalamu alaikum. Peace, blessings, and mercy from God be with all of you. My name is Hassan Salim. I serve as the Imam here at the Islamic Center of Cedar Rapids and the Vice President of the Interreligious Council of Linn County. Before I proceed with anything, allow me to invite Timus Mako to join me in reciting Al-Fatiha, the opening chapter of the Holy Quran. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, praise be to God, the cherisher and sustainer of the worlds, most gracious, most merciful, master of the day of judgment. You alone do we worship, and your aid we seek. Show us the straight way, the way of those you have favored, not of those who have gone astray. Amen.
On behalf of the Muslims of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and the Islamic Center, myself and my family, I would like to welcome every and each one of you tonight to the annual Interfaith Thanksgiving service of the Interreligious Council of Linn County. More than any time before, this service is very important to have right now, today. With the rise of ISIS in the recent years and all too frequent and despicable atrocities committed in the name of Islam, with Paris, Beirut, Baghdad being the most recent, it has become essential that we work together to create a counter-narrative, a narrative of peace, coexistence, tolerance, gratitude, and hope. This is why we're here tonight, to reach for gratitude and hope in turbulent times. Before I give the microphone to Al Fisher, I'd like to apologize sincerely for the condition of our sidewalks and the absence of railings. We just had our parking lot done a few weeks ago, and we were not allowed to use salt on it. While we were allowed to use railings, we are still in the process of getting biddings to install them. So I apologize for this. We're also, so also a small correction to the program that you all have in your hands, at least some of you, because I just was informed that we are running out of them. Imam Taha Tawil, the former Imam here at the Islamic Center of Cedar Rapids and the current Executive Director of the Mother Mosque of America, will be doing offering the benediction of the program instead of myself. One last thing, and I promise I will leave. Please join me in a moment of silence for the victim of violence and aggression around the world. Thank you. Al.
Thank you, Imam Salim, and good evening. It is exhilarating to see such a wonderful crowd here. On behalf of the Interreligious Council of Linn County, I thank you for coming to our annual Interfaith Thanksgiving service. I would especially like to thank Charles Crawley, the co-chair of the event committee of the council, and Rabbi Todd Thalbaum, the president of the Interreligious Council, who could not be with us this evening, for putting this service together. And to thank Hassan Salim, the imam here at the Islamic Center, for hosting and providing the refreshments for the reception after the service, to which you're all invited. This is the first time that this service has been held here, and I believe that it is a landmark occasion, a momentous moment, a cause for gratitude and celebration. I also want to thank all the participants in this service especially those offering thoughtful readings and prayers about Thanksgiving from their various faith traditions, and Joan Thaler of Temple Judah for her creation of the lovely artwork that graces the front and back pages of our bulletins. As I have attended these services for the past 10 years, I have always found it to be a moving experience to hear meditations, prayers, and songs of gratitude from the truly remarkable diversity of faith traditions that we embody, though tonight the songs might not be quite so moving since I will be leading you in a couple of hymns. Thankfully, I have a couple of the stalwart basses, my colleagues from the First Presbyterian Church Choir, to help me out. As the Imam noted, hatred and violence committed in the name of religion and vengeful and unjust responses to them seem to be increasingly common facts of life in our nation and world today. In the years since the 9/11 terrorist attacks on the United States, anti-Muslim hate crimes in this country have been occurring at an alarming rate. Today, Muslim Americans are 5 times as likely to be victimized by such crimes as they were before the war on terror began. And the number of explicitly Muslim hate groups has tripled. That is, groups directing their animosity and violence toward Muslims. We have just heard a leading presidential candidate say that this country has absolutely no choice but to close some mosques. And in a recent poll of citizens in North Carolina, 40% said they thought the practice of the Muslim faith should be made illegal in this country, and 72% said that a Muslim should not be elected president. At such times of terrible animosity and misunderstanding, it is more urgent than ever that we gather together in worship with our brothers and sisters of other faiths, that we affirm our respect and affection for one another and strive to understand one another, that together we renounce all violence done in the name of religion, and that we stand in solidarity and support with each other, especially now with our Muslim friends. As Professor Todd Green of Luther College stated in a recent guest column in the Cedar Rapids Gazette, the majority of ISIS's victims are Muslims. We must be careful not to perpetuate the bigoted habit of branding our Muslim neighbors as terrorist sympathizers simply because of their religion. To stand with Paris, to stand with the victims of terrorism, is to stand with Muslims as well. Or the Muslim scholar Layla Alamud put it even more strongly, it is an insult to every one of the hundreds of thousands of Muslim victims of terror to lump them with those radicals who hijack their faith and commit acts of terror, especially to identify them with the death cult of ISIS. Occasions like this service should remind us not only of the ways that we may be different from persons of other faiths, but also of the higher ideals that we share. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once prayed, "Oh God, we thank you for the fact that you have inspired men and women in all nations and all cultures. We call you different names, Allah, Elohim, Jehovah, Brahma, the unmoved mover. The Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Buddhist belief about ultimate reality is that the force of love is a supreme unifying principle of life. And therefore," Dr. King concluded, "no one has the right to take the life of another human being in the name of God." I hope that all of us will strive to live out these ideals in our lives and to repudiate hatred and violence wherever we encounter them. I have been grateful for the faithful encouragement of the Interreligious Council in promoting these ideals over the past 23 years, for the strong friendships across faith lines that I have developed because of the Council, and for the essential work that the Council does in teaching us about each other's faith traditions. Finally, Thanksgiving should be a time for us to remember that our material abundance is not the result of our special religious or personal virtue, but that all of us, regardless of our faith traditions, have a responsibility to share our bounty generously and even sacrificially. As Dietrich Bonhoeffer said on his ordination in 1931 to his German Lutheran congregation, when much of Germany was already experiencing massive and desperate hunger in the early 30s, if we want to understand God's goodness in God's gifts, we must think of them as a responsibility for our brothers and sisters. Possessions are not signs of God's blessing and goodness to us for our special virtue, but the opportunities of service which God entrusts to us. Or as Walter Brueggemann has stated, to sacrifice something is to make it holy by giving it up for love. Tonight and in the days ahead, as we give thanks to God for our abundance, let us be mindful of Bonhoeffer's strong and truthful words. We are deeply grateful to organizations like the Lynn Community Food Bank, which for more than 40 years has faithfully provided food for needy persons in our community. As we take the offering near the end of this service tonight, we will have the opportunity to contribute to their essential work in helping us to feed the many hungry persons who live among us. We extend our thanks to them for their steadfast and generous work, and again, I thank you for being here tonight. I will close with two very brief prayers, the first from the Christian tradition and the second from the Hindu. The Christian prayer comes from the Abbey of New Clairvaux in California. Grant that we who are filled with good things from your open hand may never close our hearts to the hungry, the homeless, and the poor. And the Hindu prayer comes from the French community of the Ark, a working order of men and women who put into daily practice Gandhi's principles of nonviolence and dedication to truth. Give bread to those who hunger, and give hunger for justice to those of us who have bread. Thank you. If you'll please turn with me to the first of the two hymns in your program and sing along. I hope that this is familiar to most of you. Finally, I have the luxury of pitching this low within my range after screeching the national anthem several thousand times when sopranos lead it. We gather together to ask the Lord's blessing. Each hastens and hastens His will to make known. The wicked oppressing now cease from distressing. Sing praises to His name. He forgets not His own. Beside us to guide us, our God with us joining, ordaining, maintaining His kingdom divine. So from the beginning, the fight we were winning. Thou, Lord, wast at our side, all glory thine. We all do extol Thee, Thou leader triumphant, and pray that Thou still our defender wilt be. Let Thy congregation escape tribulation. Thy name be ever praised, O Lord, make us free. Thank you.
Good evening. Beneficial action means to employ skills beneficial to living beings high and low. For example, one watches over the road far and near, working out means to benefit others. One should pity even an exhausted turtle and take care of an ailing sparrow. When one has seen an exhausted turtle or ailing sparrow, one doesn't want their thanks. One is simply moved to helpful action. Fools think that when benefit to others is put first, one's own benefit will be reduced. It is not so. Beneficial action is a single thing. It universally benefits self and others. An ancient ruler got out of the bath 3 times and left his dinner 3 times just to go to the aid of others. He was not unwilling to educate the people of another country. So one should help equally those who are unfriendly and those who are friendly. It is to the benefit of self and others alike. If one acquires this heart, even in the plants and trees, wind and water, the principle of beneficial action, being inherently non-reversible, will indeed be beneficially acted out. One should wholeheartedly strive to rescue all beings. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be with you. I'm going to digress for a minute. I'm probably the oldest person from the Islamic Center that's here this evening. Born and raised in Time Check, attended Roosevelt, University of Iowa, served in the military, returned to Cedar Rapids in 1965. And just as a sidelight, I think it's something that I'm very proud of, that my older brother was instrumental in establishing the LSYMCA, but in the 70s, I was elected as president of the board of directors of the Metro YMCA. And on our annual banquet, I said, where else could it be that a Muslim could be head of a Christian organization? Anyway, thank you. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, it is not righteousness that you turn your faces toward the east or west, but it is righteousness to believe in God and the last day, the angels and revelation and God's messengers, to spend of your substance out of love for Him, for your relatives, for orphans, for the needy, for the wayfarer, for those who seek assistance, and for the freeing of human beings from bondage, to be steadfast in prayer and practice regular charity, to fulfill the contracts you have made, and to be firm and patient in distress, in adversity, and through all times of peril. Such are the people of the truth, the God-fearing.
My name is Nancy Rhodes, and I'm of the Osage Nation, and I'm very proud of that. But I'm also what I call a Heinz 57 mixture, so I'm of both European and Indian. And so I really knew that for me it was important to recognize and honor both sides. And so Thanksgiving is a special day because it was when we welcomed people from another country. And we continue to welcome people from other countries in as part of who America is. And so I'm really glad to be here. This is I shortened this. It used to be really long. So bear with me. But I also want you to share with me when I get down to now our minds are one. I'd like you to speak that with me. Okay? So, the people, today we have gathered, and we see the cycles of life continue. We have been given the duty to life in balance and harmony with each other in all things. So now we bring our minds together as one, as we give greetings and thanks to each other as people. Now our minds are one. The Earth Mother. We are all thankful to our Mother, the Earth, for she gives us all that we need for life. She supports our feet as we walk about upon her. The earth has many families of trees who have their own instructions and uses. It gives us joy that she continues to care for us as she has from the beginning of time. To our Mother, we send greetings and thanks. Now our minds are one. The animals. We gather our minds together to send greetings and thanks to all the animal life in the world. They have many things to teach us as people. We are honored by them when they give up their lives so that we may use their bodies as food for our people. We see them near our homes and in the deep forest. We are glad they are still here, and we hope that will always be so. Now our minds are one. We are all thankful to the powers we know as the four winds. We hear their voices in the moving air as they refresh us and purify the air we breathe. They help us to bring the change of seasons. From the four directions they come, bringing us messages and giving us strength. With one mind, we send our greetings and thanks to the four winds. Now our minds are one. The Creator. Now we turn our thoughts to the Great Spirit and send greetings and thanks for all the gifts of creation. Everything we need to live a good life is here on this Mother Earth. For all the love that is still around us, we gather our minds together as one and send our choicest words of greeting and thanks to the Creator. Now our minds are one.
O God, our God, we thank you. This is a time of thanksgiving. We thank you, God, for the gift of life and for the strength to bear both joy and sorrow. We thank you for the miracle of each new day, the sunrise and sunset, the moon and stars. We thank you for the brilliant beauty of fall leaves, the reds and golds and browns, and for the eternal promise of their green return. We thank you for the blessings of family, for parents and children, for siblings and friends. We thank you for the chance to live our lives together. O God, our God, we thank you.
Gratitude, yes, for the big things that stand tall, thick with abundance, joy, fruitfulness. I cannot help but applaud their presence. But deep thankfulness for the bite-sized pieces of life. I had not thought of them, those little snippets of time so easily consumed in the hurry and blur of pretentious days. The little moments, assumed and consumed, slip quickly through the finger of my busy life. November gestures with a wrinkled brown hand beckons me wisely to consider those fleeting moments of grace in things quickly passing. I'll walk on a musky wooded path, a cup of coffee silently savored, a bird song in the squeaky hours of dawn, the gentle touch of a liver-spotted hand, a loving letter from a grateful stranger, a fading crescent moon in the royal blue sky. I turn to gather finely labored remnants like these in the come and go of my days, and discover, with surprise, how quickly my inner room is a harvest place of gold.
Namaste. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to read a little poem from where expresses Vedanta philosophy. Here, after reading this, there are a few more lines. I got the permission of Al to read those lines also later. So. O Lord, please accept our offerings, bless us, make us pure and all loving. May we not accuse, demand, or complain, but love, respect, and cooperate with all. May we not find fault with others, but try to find our own faults. May we not treat others as strangers, but learn to make all our own. May we feel the whole world to be our own. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. This prayer is universal as it emphasizes on oneness of existence. The idea is to remind ourselves that the human beings, animals, plants, etc. are all children of God and not strangers, not belonging to different countries or religions. We are all citizens of the world, and everyone in the world is part of the same family. Our goal is to feel the presence of God in and through everything and everyone. The prayer teaches us to treat everyone equally as love, which is another name for God, is the basis of our existence. And love is the common cord that binds us all together. Vedanta philosophy says all human beings have divinity in them. Out of divinity comes the basis of morality. Do not injure another. Love everyone as your own self, because the whole universe is one. In injuring another, I am injuring myself. In loving another, I am loving myself. Society does not change, but individuals can change the society. Hatred does not cease by hatred any time. Hatred ceases only through love. This is an unalterable law. Violence ceases by non-violence. We can be thankful for this Vedanta philosophy which Hindu tradition reflects and gives hope in a world that is so full of violence and hatred.
Be generous in prosperity and thankful in adversity. Be worthy of the trust of thy neighbor and look upon him with a bright and friendly face. Be a treasure to the poor, an admonisher to the rich, an answerer of the cry of the needy, a preserver of the sanctity of thy pledge. Be fair in thy judgment and guarded in thy speech. Be unjust to no man, and show all meekness to all men. Be as a lamp unto them that walk in darkness, a joy to the sorrowful, a sea for the thirsty, a haven for the distressed, an upholder and defender of the victim of oppression. Let integrity and uprightness distinguish all thine acts. Be a home for the stranger, a balm to the suffering, a tower of strength for the fugitive. Be eyes to the blind and a guiding light unto the feet of the erring. Be an ornament to the countenance of truth, a crown to the brow of fidelity, a pillar of the temple of righteousness, a breath of life to the body of mankind, an ensign of the hosts of justice, a luminary above the horizon of virtue, a dew to the soil of the human heart, an ark on the ocean of knowledge, a sun in the heaven of bounty, a gem on the diadem of wisdom, a shining light in the firmament of thy generation, a fruit upon the tree of humility.
Again, I want to thank all of the participants for their very thoughtful contributions. Our speaker tonight is Dr. Carlos Grant. His topic will be Taking Charge of Our Circumstances. Dr. Grant was born in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and raised in Columbia, South Carolina. He holds several degrees, including an educational doctorate in leadership and superintendency from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. Dr. Grant has over 15 years of experience in the educational field, starting with being a high school science teacher, an assistant principal in the Charlotte schools. Prior to living in Iowa, he was the academic director of York Preparatory Academy, a K-12 public charter school. He is currently the principal of Metro High School in Cedar Rapids, which has some unconventional and I think very intriguing goals. They want particularly to directly affect the shortage of current and future skilled workers in technical areas. Exposing students to 21st century technology will better prepare them for building trade, unit, contractor, and other related careers, which will make them more marketable in the global economy. He currently resides in Marion, Iowa with his wife and 2 children, ages 10 and 8. Beyond being an avid golfer and reader, he spends a tremendous amount of time in community activism through his involvement with the Alpha Fraternity Incorporated and the Metro North Rotary Club. So it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Carlos Grant.
Thank you, Al. I appreciate that introduction. That was great, man. That was great. So here's the other thing, Al. You made a big mistake because you've given the principal a microphone. And so we might be here for a while. Everybody good? 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 We have nothing to do tonight, right? You have no show to catch on television? We have some things to talk about this evening. I definitely appreciate you being here. I am honored to have been asked to speak at such a glorious event. I think it's phenomenal that we have the ability in an interfaith way to come together and share ideas and get to know each other. It's just phenomenal. I'm not sure if I've been to many places that have done what we're doing here this evening. So I encourage you to continue doing that. Before I begin, I think that I always have to, because of my upbringing, I must bestow honor and give praise to the people who have afforded me the ability to be here. I call them the giants of whose shoulders I stand. That would be my past ancestors whose names I do not know, and ones that I do know. My gracious mother, Jacinta Reed, my stepfather, Reverend Jesse Reed. Yes, I'm a preacher's kid. Dr. Bernard Dahlman and Dr. Ron Johnson were 2 mentors of mine growing up, and they helped me become the man who I am. My lovely wife, Michelle, and my 2 wonderful children, Kaden and Cameron. Excuse me. My words tonight are going to be, while on the topic of thankfulness and getting ready for this Thanksgiving holiday season, I really want to focus a lot more on this concept of being courageous in the face of adversity. So give me a couple of moments to talk about what I think that means. Because it's something that's very dear to me, and it's very special to my personal philosophy and for which I try to live my life by. So, as we talked about earlier, I'm new to Iowa, and I've come to appreciate a lot of the connections that exist here in Iowa, particularly Cedar Rapids. But I'll tell you, I'm not too fond of the weather. This is, somebody said they knew it was coming, right? I'm not used to this, Al. So, winter for me was like, 30 degrees, and I'm playing golf in January, and so this is brand new to me. But it's good. It's given me, I was telling Mark earlier, that it's given me a newfound appreciation of spring. Spring is like, I now know that I took spring for granted all of my life. But Cedar Rapids is a melting pot, not becoming, but it is a melting pot for innovation and new ideas. It is known around the country for its educational rigor. It is also an early voting state. So therefore, we get a lot of attention from politicians, right? The country wants to know what we think and how we vote. And as I look around the city of Cedar Rapids and in the Creative Corridor, I am familiar with many of the issues that impact people here, even though I do not hail from this location. I grew up in Columbia, South Carolina, specifically in Saxon Homes housing project, which is a very downtrodden area of the city. Poverty was a way of life. Crime was rampant. All the negative stereotypes that you can associate with a place like that existed in Saxon Homes in Columbia, South Carolina. And as a 38-year-old man, well, at least until Wednesday, I now consider my parents the best magicians I've ever met. And the reason I say that is because we were poor and did not know it. We were dirt poor. Your mom, Celine, we were poor. Like, I'll tell you how poor we were, your mom. You ever had a wish sandwich before? Do you know what a wish sandwich is? A wish sandwich is when you have 2 pieces of bread and you wish you had some meat to go with it. A wish sandwich. Raise your hand if you ever had a wish sandwich before. All right. So I see some, so we're like cousins, right? We're family, so we know what I'm talking about, right? So very, very poor area. Parents were great magicians because they did not allow us to know how economically poor we were. And a lot of that had to do with how much they loved us, how much support they put around us. They had ambitions of being better than their own circumstances. And at the age of 12 years old, we were able to move out of that area into a much nicer part of the town for what we would consider a better life. Their move, however, as gracious and as great as that may have been for us, was not celebrated by others. Let me say that again. That move was not celebrated by a lot of people in our immediate circle, including family and maybe even some friends. It was actually looked down upon by some of them that we were aspiring to leave that area. In my family, we call that selling out. I still have some family in here who've heard that story before, right? I am thankful for their courage and tenacity to improve their own situation. It was not okay to be different. It was not okay to be different in that standpoint. It was not socially acceptable in that circle to be different. It was not okay to challenge your negative circumstances. It was not okay to challenge the thought process around economic empowerment and financial freedom. Some of those same attitudes and beliefs still exist today, as they always have. But we gotta make sure we fight against those negative stereotypes, right? So those negative attitudes. These negative attitudes exist in most issues. They exist in how we develop financial freedom and empowerment. It exists with immigration policies and discussions. It exists on how we regulate firearms in this country. Uh-oh. It exists on how we address law enforcement agencies that abuse their authority. Likewise, it also exists on how we mislabel and mistreat upstanding law enforcement officers. Because that needs to be said as well. Not every cop is bad. But we must hold those who mistreat their authority in the proper fashion. These same negative attitudes exist in how we design education for our babies. They even exist in how we treat our own selves. So let's talk about what it means to be different for a second. So being different means not being afraid to challenge the norm, being willing to take chances and ask the very important question of why. Making your own track, not just following the well-trodden path, charting your own course and destiny, and being the person that you were meant to be. So I truly believe that everyone is born unique. I truly believe that, particularly as an educator, we talk about all the time that every child is his own child, and we need to treat each student as themselves. But through the years, we work very hard to be like everyone else. If I get in trouble, just tell me and I'll stop, okay? We conform to society's so-called common sense. Unfortunately, it is just that, common sense. This does not mean that it's good sense. If we aim to give hope to the world, we have to take charge of our own humanity and be brave. Let's be brave and bold in our resolve. Being different may call for certain sacrifices. This means being bold and purposeful in how we relate with each other. That's why I'm so encouraged by what we're doing here tonight. The fact that we're in one building, that we're in a mosque, and we're willing to say the things that we're saying tonight is phenomenal. I want to give you one example that is near and dear to my heart, and that's education. I saw one of my teachers when I walked in. Hey, Kat. Kat is one of my teachers at Metro. Any other Metro teachers here tonight? Okay. Kat, I'll give you a big shout out tomorrow at school. If we were to just take the people in this room, it is likely that most of us have spent anything from 15 to 20 years getting an education so that you can get a job to have. But doesn't it strike you as irresponsible that one can spend so much time getting an education, and I put that in air quotes, and yet so many people don't make any deliberate effort to develop their greatest asset, which is themselves. Most people think they have qualifications and that's it. So I have a doctorate degree, and I worked pretty hard for that doctorate degree. I really did, Mark. It's been a lot of nights away from my family to get that degree. But that doesn't make a person, right? That's not what it's all cracked up to be. And so we have to be fundamentally sound on growing ourselves. Most of us who read, some people do not want to pick up a book and read, but every day our life is an examination. Every day you either pass or fail that test of life. Every day is an opportunity that we can grow beyond our present barriers, circumstances, which are negative circumstances. And every day is a chance to become a better person. As I think about the theme for this evening, building hope and gratitude in violent times, that's a phenomenal theme. So whatever committee come up with that was pretty inspiring. I'm drawn to believe that we need to give people the opportunity to live sufficient lives. The link between violence and hopelessness is very strong and very real. I have taken a personal mission in myself to aid in the reversing of systematic cycles of poverty, which is the source of many social ills, not all, in our society. My life story draws me to that mission. Seeing the world through that prism draws this passion. The way I consider it, it is life or death for our babies. And I truly, truly believe that. Not just in Cedar Rapids, but I'm talking around this country, around this world. I believe that education is the new currency, and I'm definitely afraid that our children are not having the high-level access to opportunities due to systematic failures. Just take for a second just some statistics. 2010 census data in this area. The poverty rate in Oak Hill Jackson, which is a close and near neighborhood to my school, is at 42% poverty. West Dallas is 24%, Taylor's 24%, and the city of Cedar Rapids overall is right at about 7%. I believe that this can be impacted greatly by how we prepare students in school. Preparation for four-year colleges, while great, is not the only avenue to success. And it is vitally important that we directly impact the shortage of current and future skilled workers, particularly in what we call the STEM careers, like science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, and give students opportunity to do real learning in an innovative way, making it marketable for our global economy. And that's a bold statement to make, people. I'm going to say it again. That's a bold statement to say that four-year college is not the only avenue to success. But you know what? I'm going to be brave and say it because it's true. College debt says it's true. And the stark reality that many of the jobs that our students are preparing themselves for to be productive citizens, to change their way of life, don't even exist now. But yet we design education in a way that mimics 100 years ago. We still march them in and march them out. And I want to challenge that openly and publicly. Because we're family, right? This may involve strategic student recruitment into paid career apprenticeships that lead to college certifications, including associate's, bachelor's, or graduate degrees, majors that include architecture, technology, carpentry, construction, masonry, technology, plumbing, civil engineering, and a viable career in those areas. It's okay to go into a skills trade. It is okay to go into a skills trade. I know so because I paid a gentleman $80 to look at my air conditioning unit, who I know I have more education than he does, and I paid him $80 to look at it. And I wrote another $150 check to fix it, and it took him 15 minutes to do that. I'm in the wrong business. I'm saying, I'm in the wrong business, man. So here's my, if I can leave you with one piece of advice, it would be this, simply this: challenge the status quo. Society celebrates mediocrity so much that it does not take much to set yourselves above the rest. Doing that one thing regularly will put you way above the rest. Read books that challenge you and that make you think. I challenge the educators, so Kat, I'm challenging you, Kat, and the general public to encourage young people to expand their world knowledge, push beyond rote memorization and task-oriented learning. I understand that it's quite daunting to say that, particularly in a college town like Cedar Rapids or Iowa City. Our students come with many challenges and obstacles to their learning. We have traditionally accomplished great strides in this community in that effort. And I'm aware of the success we're having with our students. Now, we have a lot of success. We have a lot of success in this area. However, there's no mistaking the fact that we are not doing a stellar job with all students. I've come to realize that we serve a higher purpose in many of our students' lives. I'm some principals, I gotta give you some more data right here. Okay? 2013, approximately 56% of African American seniors in the graduating class in 2013 took the ACT with an average score of 17.8, while 66% of overall students in Iowa scored an average of 22.1. That's not good, people. In 2015, 61% of African American students took the test, took ACT test, who took core coursework, the average ACT of 19.1. So some improvements. And 75% of African American students graduate in the graduating class of 2015 indicated they would like to attend college. However, only 10% of those students actually attained 3 or more ACT college readiness benchmarks. So wanting to go and going are two different things. As you can imagine, these statistics do not mirror high quality instruction for a subsection of people living in our great state. I have a hard time believing that these African American students, or African American students in general, are incapable of doing more. These stats talk directly to post-secondary planning and preparation. In closing, here's what I want to say to you. Do not be afraid to take charge of your ability to be courageous. Be bold and purposeful in the ways we design our lives and interworking with others. Believe in the better making of human beings, and do not fall prey to fear and anxiety. Let me say that one again. Do not fall prey to fear and anxiety. Excuse me. So you have a lot of pages, lose your page, right? I'm sorry, there you go. Find a greater purpose for your life and then do it. Right? I found great resolve yesterday listening to Pastor Larry Sohn. He's the leading pastor at First Assembly here in Cedar Rapids, and he said in his message that moral cowardice is to get along with the flow. He said it takes courage to stand up to evil. Do not be afraid to take a stance. And that sunk in with me. That really stuck with me. And I said I want to say that tonight. Likewise, I welcome you to look status quo square in the eye and challenge it. Let's not be afraid to question, action, or counter to our better nature as humans. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dr. Grant, for a very thoughtful address. Is Carrie? Great. I'd like to introduce now Carrie Briner, who is president of the Lynn Community Food Bank, and the proceeds from the offering that we'll take in just a moment will be given to the Community Food Bank, which meets the needs of many, many hungry Cedar Rapidians each year.
Thank you. Thank you, Al. Thank you all for inviting me here and allowing me to speak on behalf of the Lynn Community Food Bank. What I'd like to do is give everyone just a short overview of what we do. I am amazed at being part of such an organization. The Lynn Community Food Bank has been around in Cedar Rapids for 43 years, and we are 100% volunteer run. We have a working board of volunteers. There's 15 of us. And when I say working, today we were down in the basement of the First Presbyterian Church at 8:30 in the morning, unloading boxes and picking up deliveries of food. So we work both mentally and physically. We have all of our volunteers that help in the food bank do so out of the goodness of their heart, and they are a wonderful group of people. And we are feeding the community in such a way as to provide an emergency 3-day supply of food to families in need. And we do so every single day, Monday through Friday, from 1 in the afternoon until 3:15, and we serve as many families as we can during that time. We have a regular grocery list that we feed to people, so every time they come in, there's a regular grocery list they get. And then we have free choice items from all the donations that come in, and we are happy to be able to supply those to the community also. To date, for 2015, we have served over 5,600 families, providing food for over 10,000 individuals. Today alone, we served 67 families in need. That was a record, and it was, we were happy to serve that many. Unfortunately, we didn't even serve all that came to our doors today. So there is a need in the community, and it is through donations of the community that we keep our doors open. All of the donations that come in our door go back out into the community to help support it and help feed all of the hungry people. We are having some new innovations in the food bank. This year we have started offering what we call milk coupons. So we give every family a coupon to go get either a half gallon, a gallon, or 2 gallons of milk at either the Hy-Vee or the Save-A-Lot, and it's based on family size. We allow our families 12 visits a year, and they can use those on an as-need basis, so they could come 12 times in 1 month if they needed it. We do this again solely through the generosity of the community, of the churches, of the organizations, the businesses in town, and the individuals that choose to support us. I think the most important question is, why do we do this? And we do this, I know every single person that I work with at the food bank does this to make a difference in the community. And we do make a difference in the community. Today, we made a difference to the mother who walked literally 15 blocks with her 2 small children, 3 years old and 2 years old, walked them 15 blocks just to come get food. Stood outside for 2 hours in the cold waiting for us to open. She was one of the last families we served today. But you know, that mother also made a difference to the people she sat with in the hallway today, because one of those people gave her a ride back home and walked in not knowing her. And that mother and all the other 66 families we served today and the 5,600 families we've served over the year make a difference to each one of us. And it's because of donors such as you that we are able to make that difference and that we are able to feel the difference. So thank you so much. We are so appreciative of being able to help the community and of being supported by the community. Thank you.
I just want to say that there are 2 donation books that we are passing around. I would like now to invite Imam Taha Tawil, the former Imam of the Islamic Center of Cedar Rapids here and the current Executive Director of the... there's one more thing. I've lost my papers. Would you mind? Yes. Are you going to lead it? Right? Because it will be a disaster if I lead it. I'll invite you to lead it. Sure.
Our final hymn for tonight is printed in your bulletin, The God of Abraham Praise, on page 8 of your program. The God of Abraham praise, who reigns enthroned above, the ancient of eternal days, the God of love, the Lord, the great I am, by earth and man confessed. We bow before your holy name forever.
Thank you, Al. I would like now to again invite Imam Taha Tawib to offer the benediction for the service tonight. And then I have one more announcement after he's done. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Shalom, shalom alaikum. Peace be upon you all. There is one chapter in the Quran that all Imams agree that if the Quran only have that one chapter, it will be sufficient. That chapter is 103, which we call Wal Asr. In this chapter, God Almighty told us the characteristic of the Muslim community, especially in a violent time, in a hard time, in a difficult time. The chapter started with a swear, that God swear by time while it is declining, that the human are in the status of loss, except those who believe and do righteous acts and exhort each other to follow the truth and exhort each other to be patient in faith. These are the four characteristics of the Muslim faith or the Muslim society, that they have to be a believer, that they have to do actions. It's not a lip service. They don't just talk the talk, but they have to walk the walk, to back up the talk, as they say. So from here, we know that all human in that status, we all going back to God, and so we declining. We may live 100 years. We may live less than that or more than that, but at the end we are going back to God. And so those who among us who follow the commands, those who follow the scripture, those who follow the will of God, those are the ones are saved. And that is why telling the truth, living the truth, is part of the time that we are living in. I don't want to take out of your time because I know everybody now ready for the refreshments. But I want to quote two incidents. One, I will start with the Bible. In the pool of Silwan, we called it Ain Silwan, Jesus opened the eyes of a blind man. At that time, there was some snitches, some people trying to get information to put Jesus in trouble. So they came to ask him, what did he say to you? Who is he to you? What do you know about him? This man said, Hope, stop, hold it. Only one thing I know, that I was blind and now I can see. I don't know anything else. I don't need to know anything else. All what I know, I was blind and now I can see. In the Quran, we have similar situation like that in chapter 42 that we call Ashura, where it says in Arabic, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَكَذَلِكَ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ روحا من أمرنا ما كنت تدري ما الكتاب ولا الإيمان ولكن جعلناه نورا نهدي به من نشاء إلى صراط مستقيم إلى صراط الله الذي له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحميد. In the translation of this verse, it says, and thus we have revealed to you, O Prophet, this Quran, a guiding spirit of the divine law, with our revealed command. Never before it did you know what the book of God was, not what heavenly faith was. Thus have we made it a light by which we guide whoever we so will of our servants. And indeed, thereby you guide humanity to a straight way of salvation, the way of God, to whom belongs all that is in heaven and all that is in the earth. Most surely, it is to God alone that all affairs are distant. And in closing, I want you to know, regardless of what people are saying, ISIS, Qaeda, Sunni, Shia, this, that, regardless, we know one thing, that we were blind and now we can see. We know one thing, that this Quran is a light. We have salvation in it. We have a way of life in this book. No one can take it away from us. Those criminals, they will be facing God soon because they hijacked our name and they hijacked our religion and our Quran. This is not the way Muslims believe. We have been over 100 years in Iowa. We have been over 100 years, and the Brother Mo, he just told you, he was born here. He went to Roosevelt, he went to University of Iowa, he served in the army, all of that, and he's still American and he is still Muslim. This is what Islam is. This is what Islam do to people. I work with corrections, yes. How many lives I saved there? How many people have saw the light of this Quran? And how many people converted to this Quran and believe in this Quran? So whatever they say, the media, Fox News, I pick on Fox News a lot. Whatever, if this is another Jim Crow coming up, let it be. If this is another McCarthy policies, let it be. But remember, Muslim will never ever desert their religion because of fear or because of not understanding. We have the Quran as a guide for us, and hopefully we can continue. I'm so happy tonight really to show you all, especially my old friends. I want to recognize maybe 3 of them, if you allow me. I want to recognize my chaplain and minister, John Elliott. This is the man who introduced me to the chaplains 32 years ago, when he made a reception for me as an imam and introduced me to the chaplains at St. Luke's Hospitals and Mercy Hospitals. And I also want to thank my teacher and my monitor, Cedric Loftal. We have a long history together working on this interreligious council when we started Thank you, Mr. Sadat. And finally, I want to thank also the Islamic community of Cedar Rapids for their help and their nourishment. I came as a boy, 24 years old, almost fresh from college into this community. I grew up here, and this is my home, and this is my family. God bless all of you. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Imam Taha. I think everyone right now is ready for refreshments and for snacks. So I had one request, but I don't know if it's appropriate, so I will have to get your agreement first. I have family back home in Egypt, and sometimes they ask me, what do you do in America? And I say, well, I work as an imam, and in my spare time I save the world. So they don't believe me when I say this. So if you allow me, I would like to take a selfie with all of you, so I can send it back home. Because, thank you very much, because I have a bit and I don't want to lose it. Thank you. Just bear with me. So on 3, I want everyone to say cheese. 1, 2, 3. Cheese! Thank you. This just saved me about $5. Thank you. Please feel free to enjoy the refreshments and the snacks. Thank you very, very much. It's been a pleasure having you tonight. Thank you. And happy Thanksgiving.